Two people walk into the same bank. Same building. Same logo. Same employees. But the moment they enter, they're treated completely differently. One gets charged fees for not having enough money. The other gets free coffee, private service, and special financial advice. Why? Because banks quietly rank people by wealth. And the more money you have, the more the system changes around you. Today, we're going through every level of wealth, to see how banks really treat you. From overdraft fees, all the way to private banking for millionaires. And by the end, you'll realize something shocking. The less money you have, the harsher the system becomes. This is the lowest level. Your account balance is negative. Maybe your paycheck came late. Maybe rent drained everything. Maybe one emergency destroyed your finances. At this stage, the bank doesn't see you as valuable. It sees you as risk. And risk gets automated. Everything here is controlled by systems. Automatic overdraft fees. Late penalties. Declined transactions. Monthly charges. Sometimes the bank charges people simply for being poor. And the craziest part? The people with the least money often pay the most fees. Because banks know something powerful. People living paycheck to paycheck are more likely to overdraft again. More likely to carry credit card debt. More likely to miss payments. And debt is profitable. At this level, there's almost no human relationship. You wait on hold. Talk to robots. Repeat your problem 5 times. Because to the bank, you are not a priority. You are a cost to manage. Now maybe things are slightly better. You're no longer overdrafting constantly. But your balance is still low. This is where the bank becomes indifferent. Not hostile. Not helpful. Just indifferent. Your savings earn almost nothing. Your account still has conditions. Minimum balance requirements. Monthly maintenance fees. ATM charges. At this level, you are simply another number inside a giant system. The bank doesn't hate you. But it doesn't care about keeping you either. Because there isn't much profit yet. Most interactions are still automated. And if you walk into a branch, nobody treats you differently from anyone else. You're transactional. Replaceable. Invisible. Now something changes. You start receiving regular paychecks. Direct deposits become consistent. The bank notices patterns. And suddenly, you become useful. This is where banks begin offering opportunities. Pre-approved credit cards. Personal loans. Increased limits. Exclusive rewards. It sounds generous. But there's a reason. The bank now believes you can reliably generate profit. Not through fees anymore, but through products. At this stage, many people feel like they're finally winning financially. But this is also where lifestyle inflation begins. Better phone. Better car. Bigger apartment. And banks quietly encourage it all. Because every new payment creates another stream of interest. Still, the experience improves. Fees may disappear. Customer service becomes easier. The bank finally starts treating you like a real customer. But only because your income became predictable. This is where the relationship begins changing fast. Maybe you've saved $20,000. $50,000. Maybe even $100,000. Now the bank sees potential. Because people with growing savings behave differently. They invest. Borrow responsibly. Keep money parked in accounts. And that money helps the bank make more money. So suddenly, the offers improve. Higher credit limits. Better loan rates. Priority service. Investment consultations. The bank starts competing for your business. Why? Because financially stable people are valuable long-term clients. And this is where many people discover an important secret. The financial system rewards stability. Once banks trust you, everything becomes easier. Loans get cheaper. Approvals happen faster. And opportunities start appearing everywhere. Level 5, high savings and assets. Now you've entered preferred client territory. At this level, banks begin treating you differently on purpose. Hold times shrink. Problems get solved faster. You may even get assigned a dedicated banker. Notice the difference. Earlier, you dealt with systems. Now, you deal with people. Real people whose job is keeping you happy. Because the bank understands something important. Clients with large balances are extremely profitable. They bring mortgages, investments, business accounts, credit cards, and referrals. One wealthy client can be worth more than hundreds of ordinary accounts. So the service becomes smoother, cleaner, more personal. And this is also where banks begin offering lower interest rates. Which creates a strange irony. The people who need money least, often get the cheapest access to it. Level 6, high net worth. This is the level where banking transforms completely. You're no longer treated like a consumer. You become a financial relationship. Instead of selling you products, the bank starts helping manage your wealth. Investment strategies. Tax planning. Retirement structures. Estate planning. Wealth preservation. At this level, the bank wants to keep you for decades. Maybe even generations. And now you gain access to another powerful tool. Cheap debt. Rich people rarely use debt the way ordinary people do. Poor people borrow to survive. Wealthy people borrow strategically. They use assets as collateral. Stocks. Real estate. Businesses. Instead of selling investments and paying taxes, they borrow against wealth. And banks love this system. Because wealthy borrowers are safer. So ironically, millionaires often get loans more easily than struggling workers. Even though they need the money far less. Level 7, very high net worth. Now we enter a hidden financial world most people never see. At this level, you're no longer speaking to normal bankers. Entire teams handle your finances. Tax experts. Investment strategists. Estate lawyers. Private advisors. And suddenly, new opportunities appear. Exclusive investment products. Private equity. Custom lending terms. Special access unavailable to the public. Because banks are now competing aggressively for your money. The relationship becomes deeply personal. Your banker knows your family. Your businesses. Your goals. Your risks. Because losing a client like this could mean losing millions in future profit. And this is where the financial system truly separates into classes. Ordinary banking and elite banking. Two completely different worlds. Level 8, ultra wealthy. At the highest level, banks stop acting like institutions. And start acting like partners. This is private banking. The world of ultra wealthy families and billionaires. Rules become flexible. Fees become negotiable. Approvals happen instantly. Entire teams exist solely to preserve wealth. At this level, banks don't want transactions. They want relationships. Long-term relationships worth hundreds of millions. And the most shocking part? The ultra-wealthy often live on borrowed money. Not because they're broke. Because borrowing lets them avoid selling assets, which helps preserve wealth, avoid taxes, and continue growing investments. This is why the rich often seem to play by different rules. Because financially, they do. The system was designed differently at the top. The biggest irony of the banking system is this. The people with the least money often pay the highest costs. while the people with the most money receive the best treatment, better rates, better service, better opportunities. Because banks are businesses, and businesses prioritize value. The higher your wealth climbs, the softer the financial world becomes. So the next time you walk into a bank, remember this. Some people are customers. Some people are products. And some people are treated like royalty.